Godzilla Minus One received rave reviews and the film became an unexpected hit with Japanese and international audiences. It is now considered perhaps the best Godzilla film ever made, due to its dark plot and its scarier and crueler version of the King of the Monsters, something that had not been captured so well since the original film. Thanks to this film we were able to discover a new facet of Godzilla more attached to his original story, but with a different setting that really did wonders for the character. It was because of this, several fans have begun to wonder what a reboot would be like for other kaiju with a similar theme to Minus One. After all, Godzilla is just one of several iconic monster movie kaiju. Many of these other creatures have had their own movies, and some of them even fought, and defeated, Godzilla himself. In this video we will mention some kaiju that we consider should have a reboot similar to the one shown in Godzilla Minus One. 1. Rodan, who debuted in the film of the same name, is a gigantic irradiated pterodactyl, making him similar to Godzilla in some ways. On the contrary, while Godzilla represented fears about atomic testing, the red Rodan embodied the threat of the Soviet Union. This is actually a great way to give the creature a new movie of its own with a more serious theme. Nuclear unrest between countries like Russia is increasing in modern society, replicating the circumstances that created Rodan. A Rodan reboot could take place in Russia or Ukraine, and show how nuclear testing freed an ancient dinosaur and gave it more power. Rodan, who embodies the horrors of war and how humanity's conflicts can create even great threats, can become a character as topical as Godzilla himself. 2. Besides Godzilla, King Kong is easily the most iconic and recognizable giant movie monster. He can currently be seen in the Monsterverse, but this is not the only place where he can appear. After all, the character is in the public domain and anyone can use it. Unlike Godzilla, Kong's origins are unrelated to radiation, but that could change to give him a much more tragic origin than the original. They could easily tell us again about King Kong's origin on Skull Island, but instead of him being brought to New York as some kind of attraction, they could take him to other parts of the world and show us how he is used as labor or as a weapon against a civilization. All while we see how the ape suffers from the mistreatment and abuse that human beings are capable of carrying out. 3. Despite being one of the kaijus created by Toho, Varan is one of the most forgotten monsters by fans. He has almost no appearances in the cinema beyond his debut in the film, Varan the Unbelievable. This actually presents him as a bit of a blank slate, making him perfect to be re-released as a more updated version of the classic kaiju. In his first appearance, Varan was worshipped by local priests in the village he eventually razed to the ground. This could be reinterpreted in a new film that follows a normal human character living in the village. Forced to experience the monster's wrath, this protagonist would have to confront his belief system while trying to escape Varan's wrath. 4. Jet Jaguar was a somewhat cartoonish robot that debuted in the movie Godzilla vs. Megalon. Originally planned to be the protagonist in a series of Godzilla spin-offs, the character did not achieve great success, so he was shelved. He's made few appearances since then, but there's a way to more seriously adapt his debut film. Eliminating Godzilla and Gigan, a free remake of Godzilla vs. Megalon may explore the film's theme of a hollow Earth with an underground civilization. It's true that the Monsterverse has started to use this concept, but if they were to adapt it in a more serial way in a hypothetical Jet Jaguar film, I could analyze the dark and jarring implications of this idea. Conversely, Jet Jaguar may be portrayed somewhat similar to his appearance in Singular Point, being a robot piloted by a human who becomes a hero of sorts. 5. The Rhedosaurus was the protagonist monster of the classic movie, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. In this film we see a gigantic prehistoric lizard that has been freed from its frozen home and devastates New York. Although this monster debuted before Godzilla, it has not had many important appearances since then, but a new version can give it similar recognition to that achieved by the King of the Monsters. A remake of 20,000 Fathoms can really play with the idea that this is simply a lost animal that can't acclimate to a modern metropolitan environment. This almost tragic nature could in some ways reflect the Shin Godzilla film. He would be a cinematic monster that would be easy to root for, making his eventual death a heartbreaking but fantastic look at how humanity often destroys the ecosystems where animals live. Mothra is easily Toho's second most iconic monster after Godzilla, and has had several films of her own. At the same time, some do not see it as a particularly threatening creature, Mothra being a gigantic but beautiful moth. Therefore, the proper way to do a remake might be to do it from the perspective of Mothra worshippers. Here they could respect its origin on Infant Island and show us how it is adored by its inhabitants and its little guardians. A story focused on Mothra's kingdom and how it is attacked by raiders who abuse the little guardians could be right for a reboot. From there, Mothra can be summoned to defend her kingdom, or attack invaders, showing that other cultures must be respected. Another good element could be to set it in another Asian country such as India, Vietnam or the Philippines, in order to have more exotic locations. Gamera, Godzilla's true rival, outside of Toho, has starred in many films of his own. The most beloved were the Heisei-era trilogy entries from the 1990s. These were much darker and more serious films, and present a path for a new film to be even flashier. After all, the original Gamera was portrayed as a friendly creature, hence the nickname, Children's Friend. The remake may take this to a darker degree, turning the monstrous turtle into a vengeful spirit seeking to save children who are mistreated. Gamera could have a mystical origin and turn him into a being created thanks to the negative feelings of children. The turtle could emerge to punish those men and governments that leave these children to their fate and often abuse them. The character could even be given a twist, making Gamera a representation of the anger of the elders against the younger generations who have forgotten their hypothetical turtle god. Either way, it would be an easy route to take to turn the once childish creature into the true king of the monsters. They have said that this is an excellent time to be a fan of Godzilla, but it is evident that there are hundreds of other kaijus and giant monsters that could have a similar popularity to the atomic lizard, so we hope to see more films and series in the near future. Focused on tokusatsu distributed throughout the world. Tell us which other kaiju you think should have a cinematic reboot and why.